Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty. Sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue to today's session. Today we have a few commemorations. Today is International Tea Day. It is the most popular beverage in the world. The daily consume. The day mainly seeks to raise awareness on the impact of tea trade as on farmers and workers, but is also celebrated by tea workers and tea lovers worldwide. The origins of the tea has been traced back to China. It was mostly used for medicinal purpose until 17th century when tea was made its way to the United Kingdom. The main types include black, green, white, herbal, Cologne, and Pura. While this has been observed since 2005, in 2019, the United Nations introduced a new International Tea Day on May 21. So we celebrate both, and there is no better day to start our day than with the pleasant taste and aroma. So legend has it that the tea was discovered around 4,000 years ago in China by Emperor Nanshan on one of his visits to a remote region. The leaves of a nearby tree blew into a pot of boiling water, which his servants had placed over fire. The refreshing aroma invited the emperor to taste the beverage, and the first cup of tea was born. In the 16th century, tea was made its way across the globe to Europe by Dutch traders, where it became a widely traded commodity thanks to the establishment of the East India Company. In England, the rest, as they say, is history. Other than its taste and benefits, tea contributors to the culture and social development, socio-economic development are just as relevant. Grown in over 35 countries, the cultivation of tea supports the livelihoods of over 13 million people. Started by trade unions in 2005, International Tea Day celebrations the health benefits, economic importance, and cultural heritage of the tea, all the while ensuring a more sustainable production from the fields to our cups, bringing together civil society organizations and small tea growers and businesses. So this day aims to regulate uneven competition, safety regulations, land occupation, social security, living wages, and women rights for all tea workers. So seminars, public campaigns, and presentations are traditionally held. The goal is to strengthen the regulations for the tea growers associations, other than recognizing tea as a big export crop for countries that produce it. Tea culture is also celebrated by enthusiasts. So China is the largest tea producer worldwide. Its varieties include black and green teas, along with other native specialty blends. According to the website tea.co.uk, approximately 100 million cups of tea are consumed by British people on a daily basis. From mint to apple to a whole fusion of assorted ingredients, try a new flavor on this day or host a tea party, then prepare different blends of tea or even have a theme like vintage English party. And it's good to learn about how your favorite tea blend is sourced and produced. If a company policies are not fair to their workers, you may want to switch to a different brand. And with over 20,000 different varieties of teas around the world, it is truly amazing that the actual tea plant from which the leaves are derived from, Camellia sinensis, has only 6 varieties. and the most expensive tea in the world is at $1.2 million per kilogram. China's The Big Red Robe is the most expensive tea in the world. And in 1908, an accident involving samples of tea packed into silk bags led to the creation of first tea bags. As of now, the most popular tea in China is bubble tea or tapioca, where it's chai in Pakistan and sweet iced tea in the US. So tea is Turkish delight, as the people of Turkey are the ones who drink more than anyone else. And every region in the world has its own way of drinking tea. Origin 4,000 years ago, the tradition and culture surrounding tea are truly timeless. And with it comes special ingredients and techniques that should be celebrated. Tea is great to consume, but its production and extraction are labor intensive. In many countries, a large working population relies on tea industry for their livelihoods. Awareness of this and campaigning for the fair treatment of workers is truly important for reduced social impact and a sustainable future of tea. And we all are for female empowerment and employment, and the tea industry is a testimony to the courageous and brave workforce of women who continue to produce this brew for connoisseurs worldwide. Unfortunately, these women are often not provided ideal working conditions and do not have access to basic education. So, donating and supporting causes for the betterment of these women is crucial. So, we have similar commemorations like International Coffee Day on October 1st and National Coffee Milkshake Day on July 26th, and so on. So with this, we shall conclude the commemoration for the day, and we will move on to other commemorations. Today is also Bill of Rights Day in US, and it is observed on December 15th in United States. And it is an important day to celebrate America's Constitution and the framework of society that ascribes rights and the freedoms of society. Bills of Rights Day commemorates the ratification of the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution, with the National Archives documenting its many celebrations of the day. The bill was introduced by James Madison, who later became the fourth president of the United States. Now, the Bill of Rights is displayed in the rotunda of the National Archives building in Washington, D.C., as a reminder to all Americans to consult their constitutional freedoms. The first amendments to the Constitution were ratified on December 15, 1791. The 10 amendments protect the most basic rights of Americans, known as the Bill of Rights. It consists of notions like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, the right to protest, and equal protection under the law. Other amendments include right to bear arms, protection against unreasonable searches and seizures, and so forth. Former President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued a proclamation that dedicated December 15th as Bill of Rights Day. This was made in the honor of Constitution and to celebrate document's 150th anniversary. The first Bill of Rights Day took place just 8 days after the Pearl Harbor attack and the Americans' entry into the World War II. In a historic radio address, President Roosevelt made an opening for the first Bill of Rights Day in 1941. He started, "No date in the long history of freedom means more to liberty-loving men in all liberty-loving countries than the 15th day of December 1791. Roosevelt also mentioned that there isn't a country across the globe that hasn't felt the effects of the Bill of Rights directly or indirectly. Hitler and the Nazis in Germany were denounced during the famous speech for taking away individual freedoms. President Harry Truman issued another proclamation 5 years later in 1946 after Congress requested to observe Bill of Rights Day again. World War II had come to an end just a year before 1945, but it wasn't until 1952 that President Truman proclaimed the Bill of Rights to be observed every year. The proclamation is usually coupled with a proclamation on Human Rights Day and Week. In 2019, President Donald Trump proclaimed December 15th as Bill of Rights Day again. During Human Rights Day, Bill of Rights Day, and Human Rights Week, we celebrate the Bill of Rights for safeguarding our God-given rights and protecting us from the abuse of government power. Trump noted, I call upon the people of the United States to mark these observances with appropriate ceremonies and activities. So in 1791, first amendments were ratified. The first amendments to the Constitution are ratified. Before this, the 13 sovereign states followed the Articles of Confederation created by the Second Continental Congress. So in 1941, first Bill of Rights Day observed, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issues a proclamation dedicating December 15th as Bill of Rights to celebrate the document's 150th anniversary. The Virginia copy of the Bill of Rights toured the country in honor of its bicentennial, visiting the capitals of all 50 states in 1991. So during a ceremony, President Truman said about the Bill of Rights, which was held on December 15, 1952, Truman declared, we are assembled here on this Bill of Rights Day to do honor to these three great documents, which together constitute the charter of our form of government. The amendments known as the Bill of Rights were designed to protect the basic rights of US citizens, guaranteeing the freedom of speech, press, and assembly, and the exercise of religion, and many more, is the framework of the Constitution. The Bill of Rights has proven to be one of the most influential documents in contemporary history, codifying the theory of natural rights, which holds that humans are granted certain freedoms and liberties by God, and the state should not have the power to infringe upon rights. There are a number of historical videos and that might help you to make sense of Bill of Rights. And you can see President Harry Truman and Chief Justice Fred M. Vinson speak on the importance of document in a ceremony at the National Archives. And you can also watch panel discussions about the story behind the Bill of Rights and why it matters. Visual storytelling can help us greatly in giving us more a rounded view of the topic. So the Bill of Rights toured the US for 18 months from 1947 to 1949 on the Freedom Train, and not all states ratified quickly. The Bill of Rights was ratified on December 15, 1791. However, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Georgia waited until 1939 to ratify it. It took quite a long, almost 200 years. A Bill of Rights on display. The Bill of Rights on display at the National Archives contains 12 proposed amendments And the original proposed Second Amendment eventually became the 27th Amendment in 1990. James Madison originally incorporated the amendments into the text of Constitution rather than adding them to the end. So the very foundation of fundamental rights in the United States is incorporated into the Bill of Rights. Without it, we wouldn't know what our civil liberties were. The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution, which guarantees essential rights such as right to free speech and right to bear arms, as well as reserving rights to the people and the states. It's important to remember today and every day. And United States prides itself on civil rights and liberties, the vision of the founding fathers. And without it, the entire Constitution would fall apart. Since it's the framework of the government, the original image of America's freedom would stray without the Bill of Rights. After all, it protects the rights of all citizens of the United States. And the Bill of Rights incorporates the basic rights every human being should have. Forget about nations and borders. Essentially, the Constitution is simply about rights for human beings in general. They are rights that should be inherent to all human beings, regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status. Fundamental human rights include things like the right to life and liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and education, and many more. This is the framework of the Bill of Rights and very basics of what we should be granted as human beings. So we have similar commemorations like December 10th, Human Rights Day, and September 23, National Dogs in Politics Day, and many more. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration. And today is also National Regifting Day in United States to encourage practice of regifting across the United States. And regifting refers to the act of taking a gift and giving it to someone else, often under the guise of a new gift. So National Regifting Day originally started off as an office holiday during the holiday season, wherein co-workers would often regift gifts that they received and they don't really want them. Regifting, barring a few conditions, can be a very efficient way of repurposing unused items. The term regifting was first popularized in a 1995 episode of the sitcom Seinfeld called The Label Maker, where a label maker is regifted from one character to another. The actual practice, of course, predates the show by many years. The British term for a gift that is passed around a group is called matam. National Regifting Day originally started off as an office holiday during the holiday season, where co-workers would often regift gifts that they received and they didn't really want it. A fascinating part of the culture of workplace regifting is the practice of white elephant gift exchanges, in which gifts are exchanged between co-workers by stealing gifts you want for yourself from other people. So on October 24, 2008, the state of Colorado announced December 18 to be National Regifting Day. So think about a coffee mug you don't have any use for, or a label maker you don't want it anything to do with. Save for a few occasions, regifting can be a sustainable way of making use of an item that you initially thought you would discard or leave to collect dust on the shelf. However, it is important to keep in mind a few rules when deciding on whether to regift an item or not. Make sure that the gift you are passing along has never been used, is devoid of any sentimental value, is not personalized, and is actually a good fit for the recipient. So is it wrong to regift or a gift? No, it's not. As long as you do it ethically and thoughtfully. And if so, what are the most regifted gifts? Socks, alcohol, scented candles are known to be the most widely accepted items to be regifted to other people. And barring a few situations in certain contexts, it is usually rude to decline gifts because it would be like rejecting a person's good intentions. But there are few exceptions as well. And to understand if you can actually regift anything this season, sort through the gifts you receive. See if there is anything appropriate to regift and gather a group of co-workers, organize a white elephant gift exchange with them. And regifting can often evoke a sense of shame in people. Talk about it to promote good habits of gift giving that people may not be aware of. Because often the gifts which we received are not supposed, thought not to be supposed to regift, as it can convey a different meaning. And the number of recipients, the average shopper buys presents for approximately 8 recipients each year. People are more likely to buy gifts for pets rather than for friends. So preference is pets over friends. And baby boomers tend to give gifts to the least number of recipients in comparison to other adult generations, such as silent generation and Generation X. And the average holiday shopping budget is $708.03. About 80% of the consumers report wrapping their own presents. So it promotes discussion around a taboo topic. It serves as a reminder that regifting is an acceptable thing to do. And recycling gifts would be a more economical alternative to excessive spending. And regifting, as far as more environmentally sound practice, it does not so because it reduces production and wastage and pollution. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration. Today is also National Wear Your Pelts Day. It was originally conceived by best-selling author Deanna Booker, who found her calling to the ministry in the middle of her college career. Literal perils are not necessary to celebrate the day. It's about the adversity we all must go through our lives, which doesn't defeat us but makes us more valuable and beautiful. Just as a grain of sand inside an oyster causes the formation of a precious gem, it's the day is to assess yourself for what you are as a resilient, resourceful, and beautiful human being. Officially, the world's oldest gem pearls have been revered since long before written history. For this reason, their discovery cannot be attributed to one person in particular, but it is believed that they were the first discovered by people searching for food along the seashore. And we know that they have been worn as a form of adornment for millennia, thanks to a fragment of pearl jewelry found in the sarcophagus of a Persian princess that dates back to 420 BC, which is now on display at the Louvre in Paris. So pearls were presented as gifts to Chinese royalty as early as 2300 BC, while in ancient Rome, pearl jewelry was considered the ultimate status symbol. So precious were the spherical gems that in the first century BC Julius Caesar passed a law limiting the wearing of pearls only to the ruling class. The abundance of natural oyster beds in the Persian Gulf meant that pearls also carried great importance in Arab cultures, where legend stated that pearls were formed from dewdrops that were swallowed by the oysters when they fell into the sea. So, before the advent of cultured pearls, the Persian Gulf was at the center of pearl trade, and it was source of wealth in the region long before discovery of oil. So now, although the concept behind this day doesn't require any religious affiliation or actual set of wearing pearls, the day only needs our own recognition of what we have been through in life to make as an individuals we are. But if you have a real pearls, by all means, show them off today. And the most valuable and expensive pearls on the market are the South Sea pearls, which are naturally occurred in shades of white and gold. A natural pearl, often called an oriental pearl, forms when the irritant works its way into a particular species of oyster, mussel, or clam. As a defense mechanism, the mollusk secretes a fluid to coat the irritant. Layer upon layer of this coating is deposited on the irritant until a lustrous pearl is formed. So there are freshwater pearls as well, are grown in freshwater lakes, rivers, and ponds, predominantly in China. Although many are white and resemble the koyak pearls in shape and size, they can also be produced in various shapes in array of pastel colors. These are artificially or cultured pearls. Basically, this day is a celebration of selves. It generally accepted that if you are going to be appreciated, anyone as a human being, you must start with yourself. So this day drives at the point home, asking you what beauty you have created in your life, despite or because of the things you had to face. And if you are lucky enough to own a pearl necklace or another pearl genre, even fox pearls, there's something classy and sophisticated that attaches itself to your look when you wear them. Don't be afraid to be devastatingly pretty. And it's quite plain that Miss Buchart's Christianity isn't the judgmental funeral picketing kind. She just wants us to open our eyes to the beauty of the world and the beauty of ourselves, and we think that pretty okay way to think about God. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration. And today is also National Cat Herders Day. It has nothing to do with the cats. Although the only job remotely close to cat herding is working at your local animal shelter, this day is not dedicated to cats. This celebration is meant for those who can manage others and themselves, no matter what the quass is thrown in their way. The idiom like herding cats was popularized during a Super Bowl commercial in 2000 by EDS. They compared their ability to serve others like cowboys, herding cats with ease. Since then, the phrase is mostly used to describe those who can lead and handle life, even when it is uncontrollable. The term is also considered a skill worker's use when leading a group towards one's goal. So, regardless of the event, celebrate your team efforts when goals are reached. Remark on all the crazy met while completing a project, whether celebrating at work or home. Appreciate everything accomplished in life. Even small victories make you a champion. Personally, thank everyone who makes your life easier by attacking the impossible, whether it's your boss, your waiter, or your parents, or your family members, or friends. Someone has to do the job. And thank goodness it's not you. Thanking those in your life who handle unwanted stress is the best way to celebrate. Take yourself out for a meal, go shopping, or buy your favorite ice cream flavor, or even if no one else likes it. Whatever you want, today is the day to buy it, without you going overboard. And we can see famous cat herders like Mahatma Gandhi, who has led to independence and inspired movements for civil rights and freedom across the world. And Nelson Mandela negotiated an end to South African apartheid by tackling institutionalized racism and fostering racial reconciliation. And Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, American civil rights activists whose resistance led to the passing of landmark civil rights acts, and Gautam Buddha, a sage on whose teachings Buddhism was found, and many more. Cat herders are beyond reliable. If you have ever praised for handling all the stresses in your life, it means you are highly dependable. This quality may mean you get more work, but when the going gets tough, people know who to turn to. And no matter what problems lay ahead, it is reassuring to know you can always offer a solution. This moment nerves start to set in, remembers all you have accomplished under pressure, and should be enough to reassure yourself you can get the job done. Appreciating the work you put in daily is a reward all its own. However, there is nothing wrong with celebrating your victories with a more night or bullying that converted in your online shopping cart. So with this, we conclude this commemoration. Though there are various other commemorations today, I mean, those are of not that significance. And today is one more commemoration, Lemon Cupcake Day. A little bit sweet, a little tart. The distinctive taste of lemon cupcakes is hard to beat. There's something about them that immediately reminds us of our summer afternoons at home, and we love how there's a day dedicated to unusing cake in a cup. So nobody knows for sure, but we are glad someone did uh, invent it. But what we know is cupcakes have been around a while. The US can lay some claim on inventing cupcakes. In the West, one of the earliest mentions of a cupcake was in 1796 as a recipe notation. In her American Cookery book, Amelia Simmons mentions a light cake to bake in small cups in her notes. So 15th December each year is National Cupcake Day, is also known as Lemon Cupcake Day. And some of the most popular cupcake flavors are vanilla, blueberry, lemon, and chocolate. And in the late 19th century, the term cupcake referred to the cakes where recipes called for cupfuls of ingredients, namely 2 cups sugar, 1 cup butter, 3 cups flour, and 4 eggs, or a similar recipe. And muffins aren't cupcakes. Batter consistency, frosting, and mixing differentiate one from other. Since most houses did not have ovens, hawkers went door to door to sell this beloved snack bread. In 19th century, England sold muffins, and some states have official muffins, like Minnesota's official state muffin is blueberry, while New York's is surprise, surprise. What? Apple. The largest muffin weighed 323 libs. Char and Nip Food in Milan made muffin history with their creation of 16 October 2015. And blueberry is America's most popular muffin flavor. With this, we shall conclude today's commemorations. So, as already discussed earlier, as we have time today for some time, we will just briefly discuss on this festival pollution, environment pollution, and why we need to have eco-friendly festivals. And as already discussed, this month we have festivals is for one of the busiest and most celebrated holidays, and it is a time we eat the most food, spend most money, and of course enjoy ourselves in the company of family and friends across the globe, having the highest population uh, celebrating this festival. So it generates huge, production and also wastage. As while we feast through December into January, and what does this festival have on the environment? This is what our focus is basically. So waste is important. Why we are talking about is first concern is the production and the second concern is wastage. So waste is really important because it will have an important part to play in our future too. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't enjoy festival or feel guilty about wrapping presents for our friends and family this Christmas. But with that in mind, however, below are various underlying extra or average wasted generated over the Christmas period each year based on January rubbish and recycling collections. So these are the statistics provided uh, in January. On January every year, on January, lot of rubbish and waste recycling collections are made by the recycling agencies and the recycling collectors, where as per household average extra waste generated over the Christmas period each year based on January rubbish and recycling collections. General waste is around 3 million tons. This is just taken on a sample, not entire population. General waste is around 3 million tons and food is dollar, I mean, 1 billion pounds, and food wastage value is 1 billion pounds. Per household, it is coming to 115 kgs just for the Christmas period every year. And one household, that is one house, is generating almost 115 kgs of waste in the form of wrapping, only just, these covers or various wrapping material, and that is mounting to 3 million tons. And food, the value of food is pounds 1 billion. And when we look at each household, it is coming around 37 pounds. And again, coming to quantity of food, it is 230,000 tons. And per each household, it is coming around 8.83 kilograms of food is being wasted. And aluminum foil, where it is used for storing or, or packing or keeping it fresh or hot. 4,200 tons of oil, aluminum foil is generated as waste, and for each household, it is coming to 161 grams. And plastic packaging, the entire waste that has been that is being generated, because these are the stats, that are provided by the accredited agencies. I mean, these are official statistics. And plastic packaging is around 125,000 tons. Wastage is produced in the Christmas period, and each household, that is each home which is celebrating Christmas, is generating 4.8 kg of waste. And all these are based on European Union statistics. This is just a sample survey. Actually, if you take entire world celebrations, you can imagine what kind of waste we are generating with just one festival. And when we see batteries, hundreds and tons of batteries, this was provided by European recycling platform, because we use a lot of batteries, maybe it may be portable batteries or for various purpose of lighting, decoration, or in the form of gifts or lighting Christmas trees or various other, packaging gifts or whatnot. So bottles, around 750 million bottles are, of waste is generated in Christmas period each year. This is not just one time. And around 29 bottles are generated as a waste from each house in this Christmas. And coming to cans, 500 million cans are generated as waste in this Christmas period. That is 19 cans per household in the form of wrapping or in the form of storage cans. And we have wrapping paper, wrapping paper. The wastage generated is around, if we spread the wrapping paper, it will be the length of 83 square kilometers. That is, from each household, it is coming to 3.2 square meters through various wrapping. And Christmas trees, it is 8 million trees that are, or 8 million tons of wastage in the form of Christmas trees that is generated, which is almost 300 grams. That is per household. That is small, small plant like tree. But if it is a huge tree, again, it's going to be an n number of times. And again, unwanted presents, it is mounting to 700 million pounds. And each household, it is coming across 26.87 pounds. These are all unwanted presents, which are not required at all. And these statistics are provided by, official agencies which are collecting. But these, how they came to a conclusion is, these are the gifts or, presents which are not used. I mean, we gift them and they are not even used and thrown in the dustbin directly. So such gifts are being gifted on this festival, which is, mounting to wastage of 700 million pounds. Imagine if it could have been gifted for education or health or medical assistance, how much it could have helped. But lot of waste and unused gifts. So before buying gifts, you make sure whether, before you think whether that is really useful or not. Better you ask, maybe you might be thinking to surprise them, but it is always good to ask them, if you have to buy something, what would be the thing that you would like to really buy it? So that maybe, if they're looking to buy something, if they are planning to buy something, if you gift them that thing, if that is in your budget or if that is affordable to you, then that would be the most, cherishable moment for you and for them, because it will serve them immediate purpose. At the same time, you both will have that satisfaction because the need is met and they will use it, and both of you are happy, and it saves almost, 700 million pounds is not a small amount just for the Christmas period, and it is mounting to 26 27 around 27 pounds per family in this is, as per eBay has given the statistics, where these unwanted presents were purchased, and just uh, it, it is as per the survey. And Christmas cards, 1 billion cards are the byproduct of the festival, where we just buy Christmas cards and give them on the occasion, and they are just thrown after the festival. So huge deforestation, huge paper is required for printing cards and for making paper itself. Lot of trees are cut to made into that pulp into paper, and again paper is to be printed with chemical inks, and again lot of pollution, and again that is just gifted for the Christmas occasion, and again it is thrown out after the festival. So 1 billion cards, imagine how many trees are cut and how much energy is wasted and how much waste is being generated, and for each household it is coming to around 38 cards. I mean, entire family will be gifting to their friends, families, to others. So we have detailed statistics also how they emerge, but that will go on for discussion. I will also take up one fine day how they arrived this more into technical research publication. And as I already mentioned, how many trees has to be cut for the making these cards, around 2 lakh trees have to be cut. This is given by Green Party. They have mentioned that for producing Christmas cards, almost 2 lakh trees were cut and used for the paper. See how much wastage, how many trees were lost in the process. And clothes. In this Christmas, for this festival, lot of clothes were purchased and they were, used or thrown, or for wearing or for decoration or for various other purpose. 80,000 tons of cloth is being used and generated as a waste in the Christmas period. So for each household, it is coming to 3 kgs of cloth. This is as per IEMA. So you can see how much of amount, how much of impact that it is creating on the planet. Because this is the largest festival, because we have huge population on the planet who are celebrating this festival for that matter of Christmas period. And you can just see these are the official statistics. And there are many such statistics across. You Google it, you will get it, lot of statistics. But often, as already mentioned, there is no freedom to discuss such things. And we call ourselves as, environment friendly or nature friendly, eco friendly, where how far we are from the reality. Now, there are a lot of statistics that can be given. And even the impact of Christmas food on the environment could be said that overeating is a tradition in itself. A lot of overeating happens, binge eating, and but each year we munch and guzzle over through 370 million mince pies and 250 million pints of lager and beer and 35 million bottles of wine and 10 million turkeys. Can you imagine how much of animal cruelty that happens? How much of alcohol? We know alcohol and alcohol related beverages has no single benefit, and it is the number one cause in the entire world, and World Health Organization, United Nations, and it is the highest addiction substance, and it is creating a lot of problems. And see, just in the Christmas period, how much we are consuming: 370 million mince pies, 250 million pints of lager and beer, 35 million bottles of wine, and 10 million turkeys, which are being consumed apart from other things. So huge wastage, and there is a huge food consumption. Overeating happens in this period itself. And this means that during Christmas season, we eat as a nation 80% more food than during the rest of the year. So 80% excess food we are eating just in the name of festival. And the downside to this, we are producing excess wastage and pollution to the point where we are binning 230 tons of food during Christmas period. Can you imagine 230 tons of food just in the Christmas period? And that's an equivalent to 74 million mince pies or 2 million turkeys at the price of 275 million pounds. 275 million pounds. This is just in European Union and European countries. In fact, University of Manchester also recently calculated, and these are given by the Christian countries only. It's not that there is something that, someone has cooked up stories and given. These are all verifiable. You can verify all these statistics and documents online. Official sites are there. So University of Manchester recently calculated that combined Christmas diners produce the same carbon footprint as a single car traveling 6,000 times around the world. See, that is a kind of pollution that we are creating, and that's a kind of, damage that we are causing through this festival. We can always celebrate festivals in an eco-friendly, nature-friendly way, but this is a kind of wastage, pollution, and harm we are causing. And you can imagine what kind of damage that is being caused with this festival or in this festival period. And we proudly say we are celebrating festival. For what? For accelerating climate change, for generating wastage, for creating deforestation and cutting down trees, and for raising these Christmas trees, which are of no use. I will also come to that part also, how these Christmas trees are very much hazardous to the environment, as well as, again, this wrapping paper affect the environment, as we see, as well as the food. It is also important to think about this wrapping paper and packaging that we purchase and use it and discard during the Christmas period. In 2016 itself, how much we threw away? No less than 227,000 miles of wrapping paper, enough to wrap around the island of Jersey. How much of wrapping paper is generated just in this Christmas period. Additionally, if we placed all our Christmas cards along with one another, they would stretch around the world 500 times. You can just wrap up the world 500 times with the Christmas cards alone. How much, why is it necessary to, now we have a lot of messages also, even we can use WhatsApp, but why buying so much of Christmas cards and, just wishing them and the other day they are in the dustbins? So how many trees are cut? We have seen almost 2 lakh trees are cut for just making Christmas cards, and which serves no purpose. Imagine what kind of pollution we are creating, what kind of impact that is being created. And 2 lakh trees are gone in a day. And you know how much carbon dioxide intake that plants were taking, trees were taking, and all are now in the air. And that pollution also increases. And Greenpeace organization recently found that as little as 1 kilogram of wrapping paper emits 3.5 kilograms of CO2. Again, that is again wastage. And what to do with that wastage? And 1 kilogram of wrapping paper that is emitting 3.5 kilograms of CO2, carbon dioxide. Again, it is releasing carbon dioxide, and you just imagine 1 kilogram and it is coming to 1,25,000 tons. Just imagine how much of these toxins and pollutants are released into the air and the environment. And can we call this an, sustainable festival or a safe festival or a natural festival? This is all because of, festival should be always and nature friendly, eco friendly, and it should serve the nature, environment, and all the species in the world. There is nothing wrong in celebrating festivals, but huge wastage of harm that is created to the population. And finally, who is the one who is going to get affected? The human beings, animals, plants, flora and fauna, ultimately everyone on the planet. Because huge greenhouse gas emissions, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, many, meat, by consuming more meat, and, animal cruelty and pain, suffering to animals, but because they are being consumed as meat, and lot of suffering, killing of animals, and how much pain and suffering they go through in the process. Just imagine what kind of people we are and what we are doing to these poor animals while we are consuming them as part of its meat. And this does not take into account further packaging and transportation. These are just, the basic things we have calculated. And many people have short-lived debates over buying fake or real Christmas trees. As already mentioned, real trees are to some extent okay. That is also creating a huge pollution. But we have seen that every family, every household has a Christmas tree installed in their home for this festival period. Now imagine how much of plastic is being generated. Just imagine. And how much, around 8 million real trees were bought, with over 5 million households opting for artificial trees. That is only just one portion. And just imagine entire world, every household putting a Christmas tree in their home, whether it may be a real tree, which leads to a lot of deforestation and a huge wastage of land, and as well as, again, after Christmas, what we are going to do with that Christmas tree? It's a huge wastage. Again, it's going to be dumped. And there is a lot of land filling that is raised as part of this filling wastage. And the fake trees, that is only with respect to real trees. But what about fake trees? Lot of plastic. Plastic is being used, and that entire plastic again is being dumped to landfilling or burning. So again, it is releasing huge amount of toxins into the air. And artificial trees have a carbon footprint equivalent to 40 kg of greenhouse gas emissions. And the main material in the artificial trees is plastic. So again, huge production of plastic and huge consumption as well as wastage. And just immediately after festival, what is happening? All the Christmas trees are thrown in the dustbin, which is generating a huge plastic piles of wastage. So can we call these festivals as sustainable? And what purpose these are serving? We have to think over. Can we call ourselves as wise? Can we call ourselves as educated? Can we call ourselves as responsible citizens of the planet when we are creating such a huge wastage pile of toxins and lot of wastage and lot of wastage of resources, money that is being spent? And as artificial Christmas trees are non-biodegradable, they are sent to landfill or incinerated, which again has a terrible impact on the government via emissions. Often artificial trees are produced in South Korea, Taiwan, or China and are shipped to thousands of miles to get to your home. And just imagine how much of in the form of transport, in the form of packing, in the form of delivery, how much again lot of packing material and energy is wasted. And coming to real Christmas trees, they are grown over a period of 7 to 10 years minimum. And often these Christmas trees are only cut at their young age because, as already mentioned, it takes almost 20 years to, have a full grown Christmas tree. And there is no, because it takes too much long period and every year there is a lot of Christmas comes every year and they need to have a Christmas tree every year. And so every year these trees are cut. And these trees are with high pests, infected with, and there is huge, pest management that happens. And when compared to real or fake Christmas trees, comparatively, real Christmas trees are much better than fake trees or these plastic trees because they are having lower carbon footprint due to shorter travel, and they also help to protect and stabilize soil to some extent when compared to plastic trees. Again, in that way also. So if you are planning to buy a plastic tree, then, better buy a real tree. Or in fact, if you are really environmental conscious, if you are a human being who are really, thinking and wishing good for the planet, then I think you should stop buying even a real Christmas tree. And you can go with some other alternative, like small sapling of some medicinal plant or something like that. And being eco-friendly doesn't mean you have to cancel Christmas. So we are not against, canceling. There are plenty of ways you can help environment while celebrating this period. Often it's like people take, in a different connotation or in different manner that we are against something or there are some alternative ways, but our rigidity, our lack of flexibility in, moving out to alternative ways is what, making us more stubborn or more, damage to ourselves and to the environment. So we can have a plenty of ways where we can help the environment while celebrating this period or festival. Although due to COVID-19, it was different in last 2 years. We have already seen list of changes. You had already made an eco-friendly Christmas while reducing waste and your environmental impact. Now, why not continue, similar trend or switch to eco-friendly or nature-friendly? And even when we coming to batteries also, and we are showering our friends and family with electronic toys and devices of great variety. The only issue is that some of these gifts require disposable batteries to work or to function, right? On average, we buy 10 batteries per year for gadgets and toys. And in 2009, only 2 out of every 10 found their way to recycling plants. So the EU Batteries Directive has set battery recycling targets at 40% for 2060. So in 2015, the UK recycled 36% of all batteries and 83% of lead acid batteries. And you can now recycle used batteries in shops around the UK, as a store selling more than 32 kg of batteries a day must provide an in-store recycle bins. So one way to tackle battery waste is by switching to rechargeable batteries. Again, that will cost more, even at times more than a toy. And they can be reused up to, but the advantage is they can be reused up to 1,000 or 1,500 times, which helps the environment. And they are also comparatively cheaper option for powering toys and devices. Like not all the toys or devices are used at once. So you can use rechargeable batteries, at least if you have to use then you can use them and use in those gadgets and toys. And buy sustainable Christmas decorations. And it is without a doubt that, you need a lot of decoration material like lights and various other decorations. Unfortunately, however, Christmas tree lights tend to be switched on for an average of 10 hours a day, which produces eco-friendly and which are not eco-friendly, which produces enough So Christmas tree lights tend to be switched on for an average of at least 10 hours a day, that is night time, or if they are being on for 24 hours a day, it produces enough carbon dioxide to fill 5 to 10 party balloons. And if they happen to be incandescent bulbs, so depending on the bulbs, it can create a lot of carbon dioxide emission. However, so there are different alternatives. What we are actually we are not against any festival or any celebration. What we are trying to scientifically or technically understand, like why we have to celebrate any festival for that matter, creating a lot of impact in such a way. We can have alternative ways of celebrating festivals in an eco-friendly way, in a natural way, where, instead of wasting huge money, we can directly donate in the form of cash, in the form of resources which they really require. There is nothing wrong. Ask what you are planning to buy, or what would you buy if you have to buy something. Better ask, buy them, and give them as a gift instead of, uh, buying these use and throw batteries, or buy something, a rechargeable battery and a charger, which can be used multiple times for various devices or gadgets. At least, uh, better to avoid, but we are not the ones to, you know, uh, decide or something. If you still want to use, better. Maybe an alternative is a rechargeable battery with a charger, which can power up, at least reduce the emissions and pollution to some extent, wastage to some extent, right? And these Christmas lights also, as mentioned, maybe we can shift to LED lights. Even that is also, creates lot of energy consumption. But you know, we can slowly. I can understand, or we can understand that over one day it cannot happen. But at least we can keep trying, because old incandescent bulbs can use up 80% more wastage, causing consumption of more wattage, and at the same time use of 90x more power than LED bulbs. So better option is to switch to LED bulbs and also minimize the use of LED bulbs. Another way to sustainable with Christmas decorations is creating your own. Although times are hard with the, recent COVID-19 has really helped to move to alternative sustainable methods. The last 2 years we have celebrated in a very eco-friendly or nice, because you know we didn't get much, we didn't do much shopping, so a lot of waste got minimized. So why not celebrate? Think of alternative now, because things are open. That doesn't mean that we create a lot of wastage. So collect some, you know some sticks and create some ribbon tree decorations or something like that. Instead of, or at least, okay, if Christmas tree has to be there, so why not, use a small, as a, you know, having, you can have a small leaf stem, or instead of having the whole tree in, you can just have, bring one tree for the entire locality, and you can just have, keep one leaf or one branch or a small stem in every household, instead of, at least, we can reduce, if we are, see, if that is a kind of sentiment or some emotion attached or some significance, okay, we can have a leaf or a stem small, and we can pray, like, uh, that can be a resemblance of a big tree, instead of, in that way we are having something, which is resembling a Christmas tree, and at the same time we are contributing to the environment. So think over. Maybe you are the ones, I mean, we are the ones to finally decide how we are going to celebrate. But being a responsible citizen of the planet, maybe we can think over. We can, because change starts always with us. And also make sure your leftovers, to pack them and to wrap them and freeze them in manageable proportions, so that you can avoid wasting further food. First of all, plan properly and only prepare as much as you can consume. You, in the sense, you, your family members, friends, and everyone. And if there are some leftovers, pack them, freeze them, and consume it daily. And if you don't have the practice of consuming leftover foods, then try to prepare, in adequate quantities. If it falls short, you can prepare again, but don't waste them, and use it earliest, so that, even if you don't consume it, you can give it on to others for consumption. So this is, for this reason, we must begin to buy eco-friendly, which are fully recyclable. And again, a sustainable and zero waste stores can help us to go find environment friendly gifts also, and eco friendly wrapping, and all these would help a lot. And more of actually nowadays festivals have become a business opportunities, like these artificial Christmas trees, or for that matter, are typically which are made of petroleum based plastics and metal. Specifically, they are commonly made of polyvinyl chloride, PVC, and they are non biodegradable and non recyclable, and it may exacerbate the pressure on a landfill when they are disposed of at the end of its life cycle, that is after the festival. And as such, it produces more greenhouse gases and pollutants surrounding ecosystems by leaking harmful chemicals into the soil also, in the form of landfills, or even if they are burnt also, it creates huge emission of toxins and gases which are harmful. And the more plastic trees are usually manufactured in developing countries, and they are shipped to wealthy nations in global north. Long haul of shipping routes adds to its already high carbon footprints. Again, that is an issue. And also, like these trees, Christmas trees have become an indelible part of our consumer culture. Approximately 33 to 36 million Christmas trees are sold within the United States, and around 50 to 60 million in European countries. Yet a significant portion of Christmas trees are actually not used for home decorations. So instead, increasingly in recent years, they are used in shopping mall displays due to their shimmering lights and Instagrammable decorations to attract more shoppers and visitors. Nowadays, we have seen almost irrespective of religion, everywhere you see these Christmas trees, lights, lot of energy wastage, lot of pollution, lot of plastic, and which generates wastage after the occasion. And in other words, the original meaning of Christmas tree as a symbol of families coming together is hardly applicable anymore. Actually, the symbol of having a Christmas tree is, a tree is always a resemblance of family, because, that as we have seen, the tree has its branches, leaves, fruits, like it's a big family, a resemblance of family, but it's no longer a resemblance of family because of this nuclear, and rarely that happens, and that purpose of that is also again, hardly questionable now. And what's more, the demand for trees, as already mentioned, disturbs its original ecosystem, as farmers need adequate resources to grow Christmas trees with the best conditions prior to chopping them down, as some of the trees are non-native in certain regions, so they consume massive usage of water, herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides to make Christmas trees to grow efficiently damages the surrounding ecosystem. As already mentioned, to grow Christmas tree, we need plenty of water and herbicides, because as already mentioned, Christmas trees are very vulnerable to pests, fungus, and lot of insects, and lot of herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides are used to make them, fresh, look good, and make them live. So efficiently damages, so much of fertilizers, fungicides, herbicides, pesticides are used, and it is going to damage the surrounding ecosystem. And a human induced plantation may also occur severe environmental balance. As I said, as already mentioned, it takes minimum 10 to 20 years, and 20 years growing the tree and maintaining and continuously putting so much of pesticides and, fertilizers, it creates an imbalance in the environment, and even natural disasters also. And in a nutshell, we have to say the original ecosystem has to pay the price due to an enormous demand for Christmas trees in our human society. So what we can do now, what can be a sustainable alternative? So real trees might be more eco-friendly, and the farming practices also need to meet global demands, but degrade natural ecosystem. And so what we can do is, instead of throwing these trees after Christmas, maybe you can save them in your homes and reuse it again and again, so that every year you need not buy a new one. So you can use them forever, because they don't, as you know, plastic to get degraded takes millions of years. So nothing will happen to the tree, even you will expire, but tree will be there forever in your home. So better you use the same tree for every year. That is one way to minimize, wastage, so that you can save it somewhere, keep it safely somewhere in your home, and you can take out for the Christmas period and decorate it and keep it safely and use it for years together. Maybe you can gift the tree to your uh, children also. That is one good way. If you have to use the tree, then use in that way. And you can also buy second-hand artificial trees, maybe some, because a lot of trees are going to be thrown away or disposed in the waste. Instead of like that throwing away, maybe you can gift it to someone who doesn't have a tree, or you can buy some or decorate a living tree outside, instead of, again, these are various alternatives. Otherwise, why buying a plastic tree or a real tree? Already trees are there. You can, or you might be growing some plants in your home or in your backyard, or in your garden. You can decorate them and buy a live potted tree, or instead you can buy something alternative and reutilize the trunk. If you are using the wooden or real trees, so reuse the trunk as firewood instead of throwing it away. You can use, but again, nowadays firewood is not used unless and until in cities. Again, it creates a lot of pollution by burning this firewood. So be cautious. So better use a live potted tree, or a tree which is living outside. You can decorate them and reuse the, instead of using trunk as firewood, you can reuse the trunk as a decorative piece and a resting area for birds and various types of animals. You can just plant it outside. And the original meaning of Christmas tree is to provide a sense of hope for people during an endless and freezing winter on the European continent. But as the time passes by, the rise of mass production and contemporary consumerism are distorting the true meaning of the Christmas tree. And furthermore, its massive demand has also created an unchangeable threat to the current ecosystem. The growing debate surrounding real versus fake Christmas tree and its environment impact are also complex. And with Christmas just around the corner, let us reflect on how we can protect our environment and be more environmentally conscious as we make our purchases. So with this, we shall end our commemorations today, and let's have a celebrate a eco-friendly, environment-friendly festival, irrespective of what religion or what belief it is. But always let's ensure that we are having environment-friendly, eco-friendly festival. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Before leaving, kindly fill up the feedback form and see you all tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. Quickly fill up the feedback form. Take care. Good night.